I was dying in the ICU when my son called, but he didn't ask if I was okay. He asked why I couldn't help him set up for his wife's birthday party. Tomorrow's Ashley's birthday party. You need to come help set up, Nathan said. I could barely breathe. I can't. I'm in the hospital. His voice turned cold. Then don't bother coming back to the house. Something broke inside me that I knew would never heal. I hung up and blocked his number. 10 days later, I was discharged, returned to my house, and turned their lives into a living nightmare. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching this from. The fluorescent lights in the ICU burned even through closed lids. I'd been staring at the acoustic ceiling tiles for 3 days now, counting holes to distract from the oxygen mask covering my face and the machines beeping their steady rhythm. 3 days since I'd climbed that ladder to patch loose shingles on my roof. 3 days since the fall, 10 feet down onto concrete. The impact itself hadn't killed me. It was what came after. Dr. Elizabeth Reed had explained it when I first woke up, her voice calm but firm. Mr. Cooper, you have a massive pulmonary embolism. A blood clot from your leg traveled to your lungs. It's blocking blood flow. Another 30 minutes and... She'd left that sentence unfinished. I understood. Another 30 minutes and Nathan would have been planning my funeral. Not that he'd visited, not once in 72 hours. My phone buzzed on the metal tray. Nathan's name lit the screen. Finally, I thought. Maybe he'd heard from the neighbors. Nathan, I managed, voice muffled by the mask. Dad? Flat? Impatient? Ashley's birthday party is tomorrow. We need you home to help set up. The caterer needs directions, and 40 people are coming, investors' business contacts. This is important. I blinked through the medication fog. Nathan, I can't. I'm at Abbott Northwestern, in the ICU. I had a pulmonary embolism. You're always making excuses when we need you. His voice climbed an octave. Ashley's counting on this party to impress funders for her next flip. We need those folding chairs from the garage. The good tablecloths. Through the phone, Ashley's voice cut through. Tell him we need the crate and barrel serving platters, too. My chest tightened. Not from the clot this time. Nathan, I'm lying in a hospital bed. I almost died. Silence. For a moment I thought maybe it had sunk in. Maybe my son, the boy I'd raised alone after Sarah's funeral, whose college tuition I'd paid in full, who'd moved into my house, just for 6 months. 3 years ago, maybe that person was still there. Fine, Nathan said, voice turning to ice. Then don't bother coming home at all. We don't need someone who can't be there when family needs them. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, at the photo I kept of Nathan's college graduation cap and gown, that wide smile. 8 years ago. That kid wouldn't have hung up on me. When did he disappear? My finger hovered over his contact. I could call back, explain again, make him understand. Instead, I pressed block. Nurse Patricia came in for evening rounds. Everything okay, Mr. Cooper? Your heart rate spiked. Just family drama, I said, forcing a smile. Nothing life-threatening. She patted my shoulder. Family can be the hardest thing sometimes. Focus on getting better. After she left, I lay in darkness, listening to the hospital sounds. Footsteps. Muffled conversations. The ventilation system's steady whoosh. 3 years ago, Nathan and Ashley had shown up with 17 boxes and sheepish smiles. Just 6 months, Dad. I'd cleared my workshop for Ashley's home office. Paid off her credit card debt, $18,000 from a failed house flip. Bought Nathan a Prius. Renovated the kitchen when Ashley said the old appliances were embarrassing. Each time they'd promised to pay me back. They never did. 37 years I'd worked for Minneapolis Department of Public Works. Transportation Director. I'd helped redesign the bus rapid transit system, overseen the Green Line construction, improved 22 intersections that cut accident rates by 42%. 3 mayors had personally thanked me. But to my son, I was just the man who couldn't help set up a birthday party. The machines beeped. The IV dripped. Outside downtown Minneapolis lights twinkled against the March darkness. That night, as nurses checked vitals and machines monitored my healing lungs, I made a decision. When I got out of this hospital, things were going to change, permanently. The morphine drip kept time with the machines. Beep, drip, beep. I lay in that ICU bed, staring at ceiling tiles, letting my mind drift backward. How did it get here? 3 years ago, March 2021, Nathan and Ashley had shown up with 17 boxes in a U-Haul. Just 6 months. Dad, Nathan said, wearing that apologetic smile I'd known his whole life. Until Ashley's real estate business takes off. I'd help them unload, Cleared my workshop 15 years of careful organization where I'd built Sarah's hope chest for Ashley's home office. 6 months became a year, then 2, then 3. Year 1, Ashley came crying. The first flip lost money. I'm $18,500 in credit card debt. I'll pay you back, I promise. I wrote the check. Then Nathan's Prius died. We need reliable transportation for networking. Can you help? $12,000. Year 2, Ashley insisted the kitchen was embarrassing. Investors need to see we live well. It's about image. $13,200. Granite countertops, new appliances. I did the installation myself to save money. My back ached for weeks. They promised to pay me back. Never happened. Last year, the BMW X5M appeared. Black gleaming. $112,000 financed. It's for Ashley's business, Nathan said, not meeting my eyes. Clients expect success. Then came the home gym. $3,800. Nathan's back problems, Ashley explained. His back seemed fine, loading that BMW for weekend trips I wasn't invited to. Every birthday, every Christmas, every manufactured crisis, I wrote checks. $97,500 over 3 years. I'd kept track. Transportation planners track everything. But money wasn't the worst part. The worst part was watching Nathan stop being my son and become someone who only called when he needed something. Our conversations turned transactional. Dad, can you help with? Dad, we need. I remembered last Thanksgiving. 3 hours cooking. Turkey with herb butter, homemade stuffing. Sarah's sweet potato pie, Nathan's favorite since childhood. I'd set the table with Sarah's wedding china. Nathan and Ashley ate quickly, both on their phones, barely tasting anything. This is great, Dad, Nathan said without looking up. But we gotta run. Investor meeting at 7. They left before dessert, before I'd cut the pie. I sat alone at that table set for 3, occupied by 1, and ate slice after slice. By 9 p.m., I'd wrapped up what was left. 50 slices in the refrigerator. Enough pie for a family that never came back. That memory faded. The ICU returned machines, beeping oxygen mask, phi dripping. My chest ached, but not from the pulmonary embolism, from something that had been breaking for 3 years. I'd given Nathan everything. He'd taken it all and asked for more. And when I couldn't give, when I was dying in a hospital, he'd told me not to come home. Through the window, downtown Minneapolis glittered, the skyline I'd helped shape over 37 years. I'd redesigned traffic systems, improved thousands of lives. But I couldn't fix my own son. Or maybe I'd fixed things too many times. Made it too easy. Taught him Dad's wallet was always open, Dad's house. Always available. Dad's love had no boundaries. Henry Patterson lived next door. 20 years we'd worked together at Public Works before he'd left for real estate law. He understood property rights, tenant law, financial abuse. I needed to call him, because Nathan's phone call wasn't just cruel. It was a declaration of war, and wars require intelligence. Dr. Reed signed my discharge papers on day 10. Mr. Cooper, you're remarkably lucky. Pulmonary embolisms kill 30% of patients. Take your blood thinners religiously. No strenuous activity. Follow up in 2 weeks. I called an Uber from the hospital lobby. Didn't tell Nathan I was coming home. Didn't owe him the courtesy. The driver helped me into his Camry, made small talk about the unseasonable March cold. I barely heard him. My mind was already at the house cataloging what I might find. West 43rd Street looked the same as always. Bare trees lining the sidewalk, Beverly Jenkins watering her early tulips next door. My Tudor Revival, built in 1928, bought in 2001 for $315,000, sat exactly where I'd left it. The lawn had been mowed, probably Nathan hired someone, with my money. I unlocked the front door with my key, stepped inside, and stopped. The living room had been transformed. A massive charcoal sectional sofa dominated the space. West Elm, if I wasn't mistaken, probably $4,000. A 75-inch television hung on the wall where Sarah's watercolor landscape used to be. Reclaimed wood coffee table. Everything sleek, modern, expensive. I did quick math. $12,000 in new furniture minimum. The kitchen was worse. Granite countertops I'd paid for but never approved. Stainless appliances gleaming under pendant lights. On the counter, takeout containers from that Thai place on Hennepin that charged $20 for pad Thai. I moved slowly upstairs, one hand on the railing, chest still tight. My bedroom. The master suite I'd slept in for 23 years had become Nathan's gaming setup. 3 monitors, a leather gaming chair, cables snaking everywhere like electronic ivy. My bed shoved against the wall unmade, my belongings photo albums, my APTA award, personal papers stacked in cardboard boxes like garage sale leftovers. They'd erased me from my own house. I stood there breathing carefully and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not medical. Clarity. I pulled out my phone, texted Henry. Need to see you. Urgent. Response came in 30 seconds on my way. Henry arrived 15 minutes later. Tall, silver-haired, those reading glasses perpetually perched on his nose. We'd worked together for 20 years. He knew my tells. Christ, Edward, what happened? I gestured around the living room. They redecorated while I was dying. Henry's jaw tightened. He walked through the house, taking inventory. When he returned, his face was grim. Have they been taking advantage financially? 3 years. That's elder abuse. I gave it willingly. Did you? Henry sat on their expensive sofa. Or did they manipulate you into thinking you had no choice? Edward last practiced real estate law. I've seen this before. You need documentation. Evidence. They haven't forged anything. Yet. Henry leaned forward. What are you thinking? I need to know what they're doing when I'm not around, what they're planning. Henry understood immediately. Voice-activated recorders. Minnesota's one-party consent. You can record in your own home. Can you arrange it? I know a guy. 2 days later, Larry arrived. Retired Minneapolis PD, now doing private security consulting. He installed 6 voice-activated recorders in under 2 hours' living room, behind a picture-frame kitchen, inside the spice rack, master bedroom hallway, guest room garage. Cloud encrypted, Larry explained, showing me the app on my phone. Voice-activated, so they only record when someone's talking. Battery life, 6 months. You can listen in real time or review later. I tested one. Crystal clear audio. Thank you, Larry. After they left, I sat in what was now my guest room, my own damn guest room, and opened the recording app. 6 green lights showed active feeds. I waited. Nathan and Ashley came home at 6. I heard the garage door rumble, heard Ashley's laugh sharp and titled. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. The old man looks weaker, Ashley said, her voice carrying perfectly through the hidden microphone. How much longer do you think we have? I listened to that first recording 3 times. The old man looks weaker. How much longer do you think we have? Nathan's response. Doctor said pulmonary embolism survivors have complications. Could be months, could be years. We just need to be patient. Ashley, patient, we're drowning in debt. Nathan, the BMW payment is $1,200 a month. We can't wait years. I saved the file, backed it up, sent it to Henry with a simple text. Listen to this. He called back in 5 minutes. Jesus Christ, Edward. I need you to do something for me. Henry arrived the next morning with a thick manila folder. Spread documents across my dining table like evidence at a crime scene. I pulled everything legally accessible. Public records, court filings, credit reports. He pointed to the first page. Nathan and Ashley's combined debt, $298,000. I sat down slowly. Say that again. $298,000. He lined up the documents. BMW financed for $112,000 at 7.2%, 3 months behind. Ashley's LLC losses from failed flips, $142,500. 3 Max credit cards, $43,500. How are they making payments? They're not. Collection agencies calling daily. 2 judgments already filed against them. Henry pulled out another document. And here's the worst part. A loan application, KeyBank. Property address, 2847 West, 43rd Street. Cash out refinance application, $450,000. The signature at the bottom was supposed to be mine. It wasn't. That's not my signature, I said quietly. I know, this is forgery. Henry tapped the page. Bank fraud, federal crime. They tried to steal my house. $720,000 property. Refinance it without my knowledge. Walk away with $450,000 cash. Did the bank approve it? No. Flagged for documentation irregularities. That's how I found it. Henry leaned forward. Edward, this is bank fraud. 5 to 10 years federal prison. You could press charges right now. I was quiet for a long moment. Not yet. What? I want them to understand what they've done. Really understand. I picked up the forged document. I want evidence of everything. Their greed, their manipulation, every lie. Henry studied my face. You're not just evicting them. I'm going to make them face justice. But first, I need a lawyer who specializes in evictions. Victoria Graham, Fauché Tower, downtown, $3.85 an hour, but she's the best. I pulled out my checkbook, set it up. 3 days later, I sat in Victoria Graham's 14th floor office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Minneapolis, the streets I'd helped redesign over 37 years. Victoria was mid-50s, sharp-featured, expensive suit. She listened as I laid out everything, $97,500 given over 3 years, the recordings, the forged application. She took notes on a yellow legal pad. Minnesota eviction law is straightforward. They're tenants at will, no lease. You give 90 days notice. If they refuse to leave after that, we file in Hennepin County District Court. Judge grants eviction. And the forgery, criminal, bank fraud, identity theft. You file a police report, probably gets kicked to FBI. She set down her pen. But Edward, are you sure Nathan's your son? He told me not to come home while I was dying. Victoria nodded slowly. My retainer is $5,500. Hourly after that. Ready to proceed. I wrote the check without hesitation. One more thing, I said. Before we file eviction, I want to test them. See how far their greed goes. I have an idea, but I need your help drafting a legal document. Victoria leaned forward, intrigued. What kind of document? A will. A fake one. Something they'll find. Something that will show me exactly who Nathan and Ashley really are. Victoria understood immediately. You want to see if they'll care for you because you're their father, or because there's money involved. Exactly. We drafted the document that afternoon in her office. Victoria made it look legitimate, proper legal language. A notary seal that looked real enough to fool non-lawyers, dated just 3 days ago. The key clause read, To my son Nathan Cooper, I bequeath the sum of $500,000 from my estate, provided he serves as my primary caregiver for the remainder of my natural life. This includes assistance with medical appointments, daily living activities, and companionship. Should Nathan fail to fulfill these duties, this bequest becomes null and void, and all assets transfer to the Minneapolis Veterans Foundation. They'll think it's real, I asked. I made it look like something you'd draft in a panic after nearly dying. Emotional, slightly messy, but legally valid enough. Victoria handed me the folder. But Edward, this is manipulation. Are you comfortable with that? I thought about Nathan's voice on that phone call. Don't bother coming home. Yes. That evening I positioned the fake will on my kitchen counter. Not hidden, but not obvious, tucked halfway under some mail, like I'd been reviewing it and gotten distracted. Then I went to my guest room and opened the recording app on my tablet. 6 green lights showing active feeds. The hidden camera Henry had installed gave me a clear view of the kitchen counter. I waited. 6:30. Nathan and Ashley came home with grocery bags from Whole Foods. I heard them through the app, their voices carrying perfectly. Ashley, God, I'm exhausted. These investor meetings are draining. Nathan, did Marcus say anything about funding? Ashley, not yet. Everyone's being careful with money. If your dad would just wait. Silence. Through the camera feed, I watched Ashley pick up the will. Her eyes widened. Ashley, Nathan, look at this. Nathan moved into frame. What is it? Ashley read aloud. To my son, Nathan Cooper, I bequeath $500,000, provided he serves as my primary caregiver. She looked up. Nathan, this is your dad's will. Nathan grabbed it, read silently. His expression shifted surprise, then something colder. Calculation. Nathan, $500,000. Ashley, if you take care of him, that's the condition. Silence. I watched them on my tablet screen, leaning against the counter processing. Then Ashley laughed, sharp, disbelieving. Ashley, the old man's actually smart. He's making you earn it. Nathan spoke quietly. 500,000, Ashley. More than enough to pay off everything. The BMW your flip losses the credit cards. We'd have money left over. Ashley moved closer, voice dropping. How long do you think we'd have to keep this up? He's what, 67, 68, Nathan, 67. Had the PE 3 weeks ago. Doctor said survivors can live years if they're careful, but complications are common. Ashley, so we play the part. Loving son, devoted daughter-in-law. Maybe 2 years. 3 at most. Nathan hesitated. Ashley, Nathan, we're $300,000 in debt. We're about to lose the BMW. My business is dead. Your dad has money, a lot of it apparently. This will prove it. We just have to be patient. Nathan stared at the document. Long pause. Then, Nathan, okay, we do it. But we have to make it convincing. No half measures. Ashley kissed him. We'll be so convincing he'll think we actually care. They laughed. I sat there in my guest room in my own damn house and stopped the video. Saved it. Backed it up 3 different ways. Encrypted the file. My son, my only child, the boy I'd raised alone after Sarah died, the kid who'd cried when I read him bedtime stories, the teenager who'd hugged me tight after high school graduation told me I was his hero. That person was gone. In his place stood a man who'd just calculated how long his father had left to live, who'd agreed to fake love for inheritance money, who'd laughed about it. I sat in the darkness, tablet screen glowing. The recorders were running, the camera was positioned, the bait was taken. Now I just had to let them perform. Let them show me exactly how fake their love could be. And when I had enough evidence, when I had proof beyond any doubt, I'd show them what real consequences looked like. They transformed overnight. The next morning, Nathan knocked on my guest room door. Dad, I made coffee. Thought we could talk. I blinked awake, still groggy from pain medication. Talk. Yeah, I haven't been there for you. After your PE, I'm sorry. I let the pause stretch. Then come in. Nathan entered carrying my favorite mug, the one with the Minneapolis skyline Sarah had given me for our 20th anniversary. I talked to Ashley. We want to help you recover, whatever you need. The coffee was terrible, 2-week wrong ratio, but I smiled. Thank you, Nathan. Over the next week, they performed beautifully. Nathan offered to drive me to cardiac rehab. I accepted. Listened to him complain to Ashley that evening through the hidden recorder. How much longer do I have to play chauffeur? It's 3 miles round trip. I could be networking. Ashley cooked dinner 3 times, burned chicken on Monday, undercooked pasta on Wednesday, some kind of casserole on Friday that even she wouldn't eat. But she smiled through it all, asking about my medications, my doctor appointments. They were so attentive, so caring, so convincing. I played along perfectly. I really appreciate you 2 being here. After the PE, I realized how much I need family, and every night alone in my guest room, I reviewed the recordings. March 30th, after I'd gone to bed. Nathan, this is exhausting. He wants me to drive him to the pharmacy tomorrow. The pharmacy, it's 3 blocks away. Ashley, just do it. Smile. Pretend. $500,000, Nathan. That's the price. Nathan, I know, but God, I'm tired of pretending to care. Ashley, 2 years, maybe 3. Then we're free. Rich and free. I saved every file, built my case word by word, lie by lie. On April 3rd, Victoria called. Edward, I've drafted the eviction notice. Under Minnesota Statute 504B 321, you're providing 90 days' notice. They must vacate by July 2nd. Ready to proceed. Send it certified mail. The envelope arrived 2 days later via U.S. Postal Service. I watched through the kitchen window as Nathan signed for it on the front porch. Watched his face shift from confusion to horror as he tore it open. He stormed inside. Dad, Dad! I was sitting in the living room deliberately reading the Star Tribune. Calm, composed. Nathan thrust the papers at me, hands shaking. What the hell is this? Official letterhead. Victoria Graham, attorney at law. Eviction proceedings. 90 days to vacate. Deadline July 2nd. I folded the newspaper carefully. That's an eviction notice. Ashley appeared, grabbed the letter from Nathan's hands. You're kicking us out after everything we've done for you. After everything you've done to me. Nathan's voice climbed. This is insane. We're family. I stood slowly. Family doesn't forge signatures on refinancing applications. Silence. Complete silence. Ashley's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. KeyBank. $450,000 refinance. My house. My signature, except it wasn't my signature, was it? Nathan, Dad, I can explain. 90 days. That's generous, all things considered. I picked up the newspaper. You'll find alternate housing, get jobs, pay your own bills, join the real world. Ashley, we can't afford rent anywhere in Minneapolis. Do you know how expensive? Not my problem. I didn't look up. You made your choices. Now face the consequences. They left slamming doors, shouting at each other in the driveway. I heard the garage door bang shut. Heard Ashley's voice rising in pitch, Nathan's defensive responses. I pulled out my tablet. The garage recorders had captured everything. Ashley, he knows. He fucking knows about the refinancing. Nathan, how does he know? Ashley, doesn't matter. We need a lawyer. We'll fight this. Elder abuse claims incompetency hearing. Nathan, with what money? Ashley, we're broke. Ashley's voice went cold. Then we make him look incompetent. We call Adult Protective Services. Tell them he's not capable of living independently. We get guardianship. Nathan, that's... Ashley, that's survival. Do you want to lose everything? I saved the recording, added it to the file I'd titled Evidence. They wanted to declare me incompetent, wanted guardianship of my assets. Fine, let them try. The tow truck arrived on a Thursday morning. I was drinking coffee on my front porch when the Wells Fargo Auto Finance logo rolled up. Two men hooked up the BMW X5M, lifted the rear wheels. Ashley ran out in her bathrobe. You can't take that, I'm only behind a few payments. 4 months, ma'am, the driver said. Vehicles being repossessed? This is my business vehicle. The truck lifted the BMW smoothly. $112,000 of image building vanishing down West 43rd Street. Neighbors watched. Beverly Jenkins filmed it on her phone. Stanley Brooks shook his head knowingly. Nathan charged out. Dad, did you do this? I sipped my coffee. I don't work for Wells Fargo, Nathan. You could have helped us make the payments. I'm tired of helping people who tried to steal my house. The BMW disappeared. Ashley stood in the driveway, arms hanging at her sides. That evening, the recordings captured everything. Ashley, we're done. Without that car, I can't meet investors. Who funds a flipper who shows up in an Uber? Nathan, we have the Prius. Ashley, a 13-year-old Prius with 180,000 miles. That's poverty, not business. Then her voice went cold. Call Adult Protective Services tomorrow. Tell them your father's experiencing cognitive decline. Irrational decisions evicting family refusing care. We need guardianship. It's our only way out. 2 days later, my phone rang. Mr. Cooper Janet Phillips from Adult Protective Services. We received a concern report. May I schedule a wellness check? I smiled. Tomorrow at 10. That evening I prepared like planning the military operation. Organized medications in my 7-day pill organizer. Laid out cardiac rehab schedule. Perfect attendance. Arranged medical records from doctor. Read. Set out career awards, Aptus National Transportation Planning Award commendations from 3 mayors, Green Line articles. Janet arrived exactly on time. Professional mid-40s clipboard thorough. Mr. Cooper, I need to assess your living situation. Of course, coffee. I answered every question precisely. Medications listed from memory showed the organizer. Appointments pulled up my calendar. Every session logged. Daily routine described in detail. Finances open banking app, clean records, balanced accounts. Janet reviewed notes. The report suggested confusion, impulsive decisions. Impulsive like evicting family members who forged my signature to refinance my house. I showed her the KeyBank documents. Or installing recorders when I suspected abuse. I played the recording from April 5th. Ashley and Nathan plotting this exact APS call, fabricating cognitive decline for guardianship. Janet's expression hardened. Do you feel safe here, Mr. Cooper? I'm not the one in danger. I handed her a folder. 3 years of financial records. 97,500 given. Police report on bank fraud. Eviction notice. I'm protecting my assets from theft. She reviewed everything carefully. Mr. Cooper, you're clearly competent. Managing health, appropriately finances in order, taking legal action to protect yourself. These concerns appear, she chose words carefully, without merit. They filed a false report. I'll note that in my findings. After she left, I called Victoria. File the police report. I want criminal charges. You're certain? Completely. That afternoon, Detective John Foster at Minneapolis PD Financial Crimes took my statement. 3 hours of questions, documentation, timeline. When I stood to leave, he shook my hand. Mr. Cooper, this is bank fraud. Federal crime. We'll coordinate with FBI. Someone will contact you. I walked into May sunshine feeling something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Control. Detectives Foster and Bennett arrived on a Tuesday morning. I'd called ahead. They're both home. Feel free to stop by. The doorbell rang at 9. Nathan answered. His face went pale when he saw the badges. Foster, Nathan Cooper. Ashley Bennett. Cooper, Minneapolis Police Department Financial Crimes Unit. We'd like to ask some questions about a loan application filed with KeyBank on March 15th. Ashley appeared behind Nathan. What's this about? Bank fraud investigation. May we come in? I stayed in the kitchen out of the way. The detectives were professional, methodical. They sat Nathan and Ashley down in the living room on their debt-financed furniture. Foster pulled out documents. This is a refinance application for the property at 2847 West 43rd Street, submitted under Edward Cooper's name. Is this his signature? Nathan, I'm not sure what... Bennett leaned forward. Simple question. Is this Edward Cooper's signature? Ashley spoke carefully. We'd need to see the original to confirm. Foster, we have the original. We also have exemplars of Mr. Cooper's actual signature from his city employment records. Forensic analysis confirms this signature is forged. So I'll ask again who signed Edward Cooper's name on this application. Silence. Bennett. Bank fraud is a federal offense, Class E felony. You're looking at up to 5 years federal prison per count. Add identity theft forgery, that's another 3 to 5 years. This is your chance to be honest. Who did this? Ashley's voice went cold. We're not answering questions without an attorney. Foster nodded. That's your right. But understand we have the documents forensic evidence Edward Cooper's testimony. This case is going to the county attorney for prosecution. You can cooperate now, or we'll see you in court. After they left, the recordings captured everything. That afternoon living room. Nathan, they're going to arrest us. Jesus Christ, they're going to arrest us. Ashley, shut up. Let me think. Nathan, 5 years in prison. I can't go to prison. Ashley's voice went cold. You're not going to prison. I signed the document. Nathan, what? Ashley, I forged his signature. You didn't know. That's our story. I acted alone. You're the innocent son who had no idea his wife was committing fraud. 2 weeks later, Detective Foster called. Mr. Cooper, the county attorney's offering a plea agreement. Ashley Cooper pleads guilty to attempted bank fraud and identity theft. 3 years supervised probation, $68,000 in restitution to you. No jail time if she complies. Edward, and if she refuses, Foster trial, if convicted mandatory minimum 3 years at Stillwater. I thought about Nathan, about how Ashley had manipulated him from the start. I'll accept the plea, but I want the restitution enforceable. If she misses payments, I want the probation violated. Standard terms. She'll sign next week. June 1st, I met Victoria to prepare for the eviction hearing. Judge Lawson's presiding. Fair but no nonsense. She tapped her notes. We have a strong case you own the property. No lease, proper notice given. But they hired Gary Russell. Practices out of a strip mall in Roseville. He'll try claiming elder abuse, vindictiveness, undue hardship. I pulled out my tablet. I have recordings, them discussing my death timeline, planning fake incompetency claims, plotting the APS call. Are these admissible? Victoria's eyes lit up. Minnesota's one-party consent. You recorded in your own home. Yes, this is admissible. Edward, this is devastating evidence. We spent 3 hours preparing. Victoria scripted questions, anticipated Russell's arguments, organized everything financial records, police reports, APS documentation, and the crown jewel, the recordings. The fake will, Victoria said. We should reveal it in court. Maximum impact. I nodded. I want them to understand exactly how they failed the test. The hearing was set for June 25th, 3 weeks away. Nathan and Ashley knew it was coming. They'd received the summons. I watched them scramble through the recordings, calling lawyers they couldn't afford, asking family for money, arguing every night about whose fault it was. The recorders captured everything, every desperate plan, every moment of panic, and all I felt was cold satisfaction, because justice wasn't just winning in court. Justice was making them watch their house of cards collapse piece by piece, knowing they'd built it themselves. Hennepin County District Court was smaller than I'd expected. Wood paneling, Minnesota state seal behind the bench, fluorescent lights humming overhead. I sat beside Victoria at the plaintiff's table. Nathan and Ashley sat across the aisle with Gary Russell, their discount attorney, in an ill-fitting suit. Nathan wouldn't look at me. Ashley stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Judge David Lawson entered. Mid-60s, silver hair, reading glasses. 20 years on the bench, I'd checked. Fair, but hard on fraud. This is Cooper versus Cooper, Judge Lawson said, reviewing the file. Eviction proceedings. Ms. Graham, your opening... Victoria stood smoothly. Your Honor, this is straightforward. Edward Cooper owns 2847 West 43rd Street. Purchased 2001 title in his name alone. Defendants Nathan and Ashley Cooper have resided there 3 years without lease, without paying rent. Mr. Cooper provided 90 days written notice per Minnesota statute. 504B. 21. We request the court grant eviction. Lawson turned to Russell. Mr. Russell? Russell fumbled with notes. Your Honor, my clients live there at Mr. Cooper's invitation. This is family, not landlord-tenant. Mr. Cooper is elderly, recently suffered medical trauma, may be acting from confusion. Objection. Victoria's voice cut sharp. Speculation about my client's mental state without medical evidence. Sustained, Lawson said. Stick to facts, Mr. Russell. Russell pivoted. Eviction will cause undue hardship. No savings, limited income. Not a legal defense. Lawson interrupted. Evidence of a lease rent payments. Any legal basis to remain. Russell floundered. The father-son relationship is not a lease. Continue, Ms. Graham. Victoria approached. Your Honor, I will present evidence explaining why Mr. Cooper seeks eviction. Audio recordings made in his home per Minnesota's one-party consent statute. Russell jumped up. Objection recorded without knowledge. Minnesota requires only one party's consent, Victoria said smoothly. Mr. Cooper recorded in his own home. Completely legal. Overruled. I'll allow them. Victoria connected her laptop to the courtroom system. These recordings from March through June demonstrate defendants exploiting Mr. Cooper financially and planning to control his assets fraudulently. She played the first recording. The courtroom speakers carried it clearly. March 26th. Kitchen. Ashley's voice. The old man looks weaker. How much longer do you think we have? Nathan responded. Doctor said pulmonary embolism survivors have complications. Could be months, could be years. We just need to be patient. Ashley. Patient. We're drowning in debt, Nathan. The BMW payment is $1,200 a month. We can't wait years. Silence. Nathan's face flushed red. Ashley stared at the table. Judge Lawson's expression hardened. Your Honor, Victoria said, this was recorded 3 weeks after Mr. Cooper's near-fatal pulmonary embolism. Note, they're discussing inheritance timelines, not his recovery. She played the second recording, same date kitchen evening. Ashley's voice came through. Nathan, look at this. To my son, Nathan Cooper, I bequeath $500,000, provided he serves as my primary caregiver. Nathan, this is your dad's will. Nathan, $500,000. Ashley, if you take care of him, that's the condition. The old man's actually smart. He's making you earn it. Nathan, $500,000, Ashley. More than enough to pay off everything. Ashley, how long do you think we'd have to keep this up? He's what, 67? Nathan, 67. Had the PE 3 weeks ago. Ashley, so we play the part. Loving son. Devoted daughter-in-law. Maybe 2 years. 3 at most. Nathan, okay, we do it. But we have to make it convincing. Ashley, we'll be so convincing he'll think we actually care. Then came the laughter, cold, calculating. The recording ended. The courtroom silence was absolute. I didn't look at Nathan. I'd heard it 100 times. Each time it hurt less, clarified more. Judge Lawson removed his glasses slowly. Ms. Graham, is there more? 3 additional recordings, Your Honor. Russell stammered, trying to object. Lawson waved him off. I'll hear them. His voice had gone cold, judicial. I sat there, hands folded, watching my son realize every word, every calculated, greedy, cruel word had been captured, preserved, played for a court of law. This was justice, raw and undeniable. Victoria played the third recording. April 2nd, garage. Nathan's voice came through the speakers. This is exhausting. He wants me to drive him to the pharmacy tomorrow. The pharmacy. It's 3 blocks away. Ashley responded, just do it. Smile. Pretend. $500,000, Nathan. That's the prize. Nathan, I know, but God, I'm tired of pretending to care. Ashley, 2 years, maybe 3. Then we're free. Rich and free. Judge Lawson's jaw tightened. I saw it. 20 years on the bench, he'd heard plenty. But this was hitting different. Russell tried interrupting. Your Honor, these recordings are taken out of context. I'll determine context, Counselor. Continue, Ms. Graham. Victoria played the 4th recording. April 5th, garage, after the eviction notice. Ashley's voice panicked. He knows. He knows about the refinancing. Nathan, how does he know? Ashley, it doesn't matter. We need a lawyer. We'll fight this. Elder abuse claims incompetency hearing. Nathan, with what money? Ashley's voice went cold. Then we make him look incompetent. We call Adult Protective Services. Tell them he's not capable of living independently. We get guardianship. Nathan, that's... Ashley, that's survival. Do you want to lose everything? Victoria paused the playback. Your Honor, Adult Protective Services did visit Mr. Cooper. Janet Phillips from Hennepin County filed a report. I have it here, stating, Mr. Cooper is fully competent managing his health and finances appropriately, and that the report filed by his son appeared fraudulent. She handed the document to the clerk. Judge Lawson read it. His expression shifted from hard to granite. One more recording, Your Honor. May 20th living room, late night. Ashley, how much longer do you think he has? Really, Nathan, I don't know. The PE was bad. He's on blood thinners. Could have another clot any time. Ashley, we just need to be patient. Nathan, what if he changes the will? What if he finds out we're faking? Ashley, he won't. He's desperate to believe we love him. That's his weakness. Long pause. Nathan, quietly, do you think he knows that we're just waiting? Ashley, waiting for what Nathan say it. Nathan, barely audible, waiting for him to die. The recording ended. The courtroom was silent. Someone coughed. The court reporter's fingers hovered over her keyboard. I finally looked at Nathan, tears on his face. Not remorse, shame, he'd been caught. Judge Lawson set down his glasses. Mr. Russell, does your client wish to speak? Russell whispered with Nathan. Nathan shook his head. No, Your Honor. Lawson turned to me. Mr. Cooper, do you wish to address the court? I stood slowly. Your Honor, 37 years I worked for this city. Transportation planning, I helped design the Green Line. Improved 22 intersections that reduced accident rates by 42%. I'm proud of that work. But my proudest work was raising my son after his mother died. Nathan was 8. I was 30. I did everything myself, cooked every meal, attended every parent-teacher conference, paid for college. I thought I'd raised him to be a good man. My voice stayed steady. I was wrong. Or he changed. I don't know which hurts more. But what I know is this: 3 years they lived in my home. I gave them $97,500. I asked for nothing except respect. Instead, they forged my signature to steal my house. They waited for me to die. They calculated, my voice caught slightly, how much longer I had to live. I looked at Nathan. That's not family, that's predatory. And I won't enable it anymore. Judge Lawson nodded slowly. Mr. Cooper, I'm sorry you experienced this. He turned to Nathan and Ashley. The evidence is clear and frankly disturbing. This court grants the eviction. You have 45 days from today to vacate the property. That's August 9th. Any belongings remaining after that date will be considered abandoned. The gavel came down. Russell stood. Your Honor, we'd like to request an extension. Denied. Ashley grabbed Nathan's arm, whispering urgently. Nathan just sat there staring at the table. I stood, gathered my things. Victoria patted my shoulder. Good work, Edward. But I wasn't finished. Your Honor, one more thing. Lawson looked up. Yes, Mr. Cooper. I pulled the fake will from my briefcase, walked to Nathan's table, set it down in front of him. That will you found, the one promising $500,000? I met Nathan's eyes. It was fake. A test. To see if you'd care for me because I'm your father, or because there was money involved. You failed. Nathan's face crumbled. I turned to Judge Lawson. My real will leaves everything to the Minneapolis Veterans Foundation, people who actually sacrifice for something larger than themselves. I walked out of that courtroom into June's sunshine. Behind me, I heard Nathan calling my name. Once, twice. I didn't turn around. 45 days until they were gone. 45 days until my house was mine again. I'd waited 3 years. I could wait 45 more days. August 9th arrived with gray skies and humidities that clung to everything. The U-Haul pulled up at 7. Smallest size, they rented 10 feet. Barely enough for a studio apartment. I watched from the kitchen window as Nathan and Ashley loaded boxes in complete silence. No conversation, no coordination. Just two people forced together by circumstance, moving like strangers. I stayed out of their way, made coffee, read the Star Tribune, pretended it was a normal Saturday. But I watched. Ashley moved with angry efficiency, throwing boxes into the truck without care. Nathan moved slowly, like each trip carried weight heavier than furniture. Around noon, Nathan went into the garage. I heard him moving boxes I'd stored there months ago when he took over my bedroom. Then silence. I walked to the garage door. Nathan was kneeling on the concrete floor, surrounded by opened boxes. In his hands, my APTA National Transportation Planning Award, 2010 solid walnut with brass engraving. He looked up when I entered. His eyes were red. I didn't know, he said quietly. Didn't know what... He gestured at the boxes around him. Awards, certificates, newspaper clippings. This? Any of this? He picked up a yellowed article from the Star Tribune 2003. Cooper's quiet leadership saves historic corridor. It says here you personally testified at 18 different city council meetings to stop developers from tearing down buildings on Nicollet Avenue. You won. You saved, he counted 14 historic structures. I leaned against the doorframe. Yes. There's a letter here from the governor, thanking you for your work on statewide transportation policy. 2008. And this? He held up a plaque. Says you were offered chief planning advisor to the mayor's office. You turned it down. The job required too much travel. You were in high school. I wanted to be home for dinner. Nathan set the award down carefully, like it might break. All these years I thought you were just a city employee. A desk job. Nothing special. The words stung, even though I'd heard them before in his recordings. Nothing special. Ashley told me. He stopped. She told me you probably made 40 or 50,000 a year, that your pension was small, that you needed us as much as we needed you. My pension is 98,000 annually, I said quietly, plus Social Security, plus investment returns. I was transportation director Nathan, not a clerk. He put his head in his hands. Oh, God. You never asked. In 3 years, you never once asked about my career, my work, what I did with my life before you moved in. I didn't care. His voice broke. I was so focused on our problems, our debt, our needs. I never saw you. Not really. I watched my son sit there among evidence of a life he'd never bothered to learn about. Part of me wanted to comfort him, the father in me. But that part had been cauterized in an ICU room listening to him tell me not to come home. You should finish packing, I said. Nathan stood, wiping his eyes. Dad, 45 days, Nathan. The judge gave you 45 days. You used them. Now it's time to go. He looked at the awards one more time. Then he carefully repacked them, closed the box, carried it inside. 3 p.m. The U-Haul was loaded. Ashley sat in the passenger seat staring at her phone. Nathan stood on the porch. My house, with the keys in his hand. I'm sorry, he said. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I am. For all of it. I took the keys. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust, Nathan. Actions do. Over time. A lot of time. Will you, he hesitated, will you ever forgive me? I thought about the recordings, the laughter after they found the fake will, the casual way they discussed my death timeline. I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me in a year, if you've actually changed. He nodded, walked to the truck. The diesel engine rattled to life. I stood on the porch and watched them drive away. West 43rd Street, left turn onto Xerxes Avenue. Gone. The house was silent, completely silent, for the first time in 3 years. I walked through the rooms, slowly. The new furniture was gone. They couldn't fit it in the studio. Walls had marks where they'd hung pictures. The kitchen counter still smelled faintly of that expensive Thai takeout. But it was mine. Every room, every corner, mine. I was cleaning the garage when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mr. Cooper, Detective Foster. We need to talk about Ashley Cooper. She missed her first restitution payment. Probation violation. There's going to be a hearing. I sat down on a dusty box. When? October 7th. Thought you should know. Justice wasn't finished. Not yet. I didn't hear from Nathan for 3 weeks after they moved out. No calls. No texts. Silence. But Henry, ever vigilant, had connections. They're in a studio near Lake Street, he told me over coffee in early September. 480 square feet. Rent's $1,250 a month. Nathan's working 2 jobs, warehouse nights, retail days, 60 hours a week. And Ashley, still at her marketing job, but I heard she's waitressing at some restaurant on Hennepin 3 nights a week. I did the math. Nathan's 2 jobs probably brought in $3,200 a month pre-tax. Ashley's combined income maybe $3,800. Total $7,000 monthly. After taxes maybe $5,200. Rent $1,250. Utilities $200. Food $400. Student loans $300. Health insurance $350. Gas for the old Prius $150. That left $2,550. Restitution payment due September 1st, 1889. They'd made the first payment barely. I'd received the check, deposited it without comment. But October 1st came and went. No payment. Detective Foster called October 5th. Mr. Cooper, Ashley Cooper, missed her restitution payment. Per her probation terms, that's a violation. Court's scheduled a hearing for October 7th. Thought you'd want to know. What happens if she can't pay? Judge Lawson can revoke probation. Send her to jail for the original sentence, 3 years or some portion. Depends on his mood. October 7th, I was back in Judge Lawson's courtroom. Ashley stood before the bench. No Gary Russell this time. She couldn't afford him anymore. Public defender instead, young woman who looked overwhelmed. Ms. Cooper, Judge Lawson said, reviewing the file. Your probation terms were clear. 3 years supervised probation, $68,000 in restitution payable at $1,889 per month. You made 1 payment. You're now 36 days delinquent on the second. Explain. Ashley's voice was small. Your Honor? I'm working 2 jobs. My husband's working 2 jobs. After rent and basic expenses, we don't have enough for the full payment. I have $400 I can pay now. 400 of 1889. Lawson's voice was flat. That's not compliance, Ms. Cooper. The public defender stepped forward. Your Honor, my client's making a good faith effort. The financial burden is extreme given their limited income. The financial burden was predictable when she committed bank fraud. Lawson looked directly at Ashley. You forged Edward Cooper's signature. You attempted to steal $450,000 from his home equity. You pleaded guilty. This court showed mercy by offering probation instead of prison. You violated that probation within 60 days. Ashley was crying. Please, Your Honor, I'll pay whatever I can. This court sentences you to 22 months in Hennepin County Jail, with credit for time served. The gavel came down. Bailiff. Ashley's legs buckled. The public defender caught her arm. Nathan, sitting in the gallery, made a sound half gasp, half sob. The bailiff approached. Ashley turned, looked at Nathan. Take care of yourself, she said. Then they led her away. Orange jumpsuit, handcuffs, gone. Nathan sat frozen. I stood in the back of the courtroom watching. Finally he saw me, walked over slowly. Are you happy now? His voice was hollow. Is this what you wanted? I wanted consequences, I said quietly. She got them. Actions have weight, Nathan. She forged my signature. She tried to steal my house. This is justice. She's going to jail for almost 2 years. Yes. Nathan stared at me like I was a stranger. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I always was. You just never bothered to look. He walked away, out of the courtroom, out of my life maybe. I stood there alone as the courtroom emptied. Justice served. Ashley behind bars. Nathan working himself to exhaustion trying to pay debt. My house mine again. Everything exactly as I'd planned. So why did it feel so hollow? I walked out into October cold and realized winning isn't the same as healing. And I wasn't sure which one I needed more. The house felt different after August 9th. Not just empty, but mine again. I started reclaiming it room by room. Nathan's king-size bed and Ashley's teal-painted walls disappeared by mid-August, replaced with my old furniture and the soft cream color Sarah had chosen 30 years ago. The sectional couch, the 75-inch TV, the granite dresser, all donated to Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity by early September. I kept things simple, my leather recliner, a modest fabric sofa from a Lake Street furniture maker, and the silence I had earned. But the real work happened in the garage. My workshop had become a storage unit for their gym equipment and Ashley's failed business inventory. I spent 3 days in late September clearing it out, rediscovering tools I hadn't touched in 4 years. My table saw router and the chisel set Sarah gave me for our 20th anniversary, all covered in dust, but still good. On October 2nd, I had my 6-week follow-up with Dr. Reed at Abbott Northwestern. My lung function had improved significantly. You're recovering well, Edward, Reed said, closing my chart. Light physical activity is fine now, including woodworking. Just avoid heavy lifting and take breaks. I'll be careful, I promised. That afternoon, I returned to the bookshelf. The oak boards had been waiting 3 years still, rough cut and patient. I had originally planned this project as a gift for Nathan when he graduated from the University of Minnesota with his civil engineering degree. I was going to fill it with books about city planning and architecture, the career I thought we would share. Now it would be for me. I worked slowly through October, 30 minutes a day at first, then an hour as my stamina improved. Planing the board smooth, measuring twice, cutting once. The repetitive motions calmed something inside me that the courtroom victory hadn't touched. This was creation, not destruction. Henry stopped by on October 10th. We drank coffee in my kitchen coffee I had brewed myself, not from Ashley's expensive espresso machine I had donated. How are you holding up? He asked. Better, right, Paul, I said, and I meant it. He hesitated. You should know Nathan filed for divorce from Ashley on September 18th. He moved to an apartment in Uptown. I absorbed that quietly. Does he have a lawyer? Public defender. He can't afford much else now. Henry paused. He's been asking about you, Edward. Wondering if you're okay. I didn't respond. The first email arrived on October 15th. Subject: I'm sorry. Nathan's words were direct and painful. He took full responsibility for everything: the greed, the cruelty, the manipulation. He said he had started therapy twice a week and was working construction to pay child support. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just said he was sorry and understood if I never wanted to hear from him again. I read it 3 times, then closed my laptop. The second email came on November 12th. Nathan wrote about his progress in therapy, how he was learning to understand the entitlement that had defined his relationship with me. He mentioned working overtime to cover Ashley's missed restitution payments, trying to keep her jail time from extending. He said he thought about me every day. Again, no requests, no expectations. I read it twice and returned to my bookshelf. By mid-November, the frame was complete. The joinery was tight, the wood sanded smooth. I applied 3 coats of Danish oil, letting each cure for 48 hours. The oak glowed a rich honey color, the grain highlighted and beautiful. Thanksgiving arrived on November 28th. I cooked a small turkey breast, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and pumpkin pie from Sarah's old recipes. The house smelled warm and full. I ate alone at my kitchen table, grateful for the silence and the peace. At 7:30 that evening, my phone buzzed. Nathan, happy. Thanksgiving, Dad. I'm grateful you're healthy. I'm grateful you're safe. I hope you had a good day. I stared at the message for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it. But something Henry had said weeks ago stayed with me. Forgiveness isn't for them, Edward. It's for you. I typed a response. Edward, gratitude is a start. I hit send before I could reconsider. 3 days later, on December 1st, I placed the finished bookshelf in my living room. 6 feet tall, 5 shelves deep, solid, and permanent. I filled it with books collected over 37 years. Urban planning textbooks, biographies of engineers' novels Sarah had loved. The bottom shelf held photo albums from before Nathan turned 30, when we still smiled in pictures together. The bookshelf fit perfectly. On December 5th, my phone rang. Nathan's name appeared on the screen. My hand hovered over the decline button. I thought about the emails, the therapy, the construction job, the restitution payments he was covering for Ashley. I thought about his Thanksgiving text. I thought about the bookshelf. Then I answered, "Hello, Nathan." "Dad," Nathan's voice was tentative. "Can I come by to talk? In person? I'm not asking for anything, just to talk." I looked at the bookshelf, at the house I had reclaimed. "Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. "Thank you, Dad." The doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock on December 6th. Nathan stood on the porch, hands in his pockets, looking thinner than I remembered. He had lost weight, maybe 15 pounds. Dark circles under his eyes. "Come in." He stepped inside carefully, as if entering a stranger's home. In some ways he was. This wasn't the house he had occupied. This was mine. We sat in the living room. I had made coffee, not for hospitality, just because I wanted some. "The bookshelf is beautiful," Nathan said quietly. "Finished it last week. Started it 3 years ago." He understood. "Before we moved in?" "Yes." The silence stretched. Nathan stared at his hands. "I don't know where to start." "The beginning works." He took a breath. "After Mom died, you were everything. You worked full-time, but still made my lunches, came to every parent-teacher conference, coached my Little League team. I never appreciated it. I just expected it. Kids do that. But I didn't stop. College on your dime. 0 loans. First apartment you co-signed. Wedding you paid half. And when things fell apart financially, I came to you because you always fix things." He looked up. "I stopped seeing you as my father. Started seeing you as a solution, a resource. And when you were dying in the ICU, I was angry. Like you'd broken a promise by being human." I sipped my coffee, said nothing. "Ashley encouraged it. Made me think you needed us as much as we needed you. That we were helping you by living there. But we weren't. We were parasites." "Yes, you were." He flinched but didn't argue. "The recordings you played in court hearing myself calculate how long you'd live, I wanted to die. That wasn't who I thought I was, but it was who I'd become. What are you doing here, Nathan?" "To apologize. Really apologize. Not because I want something. Just because you deserve to hear it from me looking at you. I'm sorry, Dad. For all of it. The exploitation, the cruelty, the birthday party call when you were in the ICU, the fake kindness, letting Ashley forge your signature. Every moment I treated you like an ATM instead of my father. I'm sorry." His voice broke. Tears ran down his face. I sat still, let the silence hold the weight. "Are you divorcing Ashley because she went to jail or because you finally saw who she was?" "Both," he said honestly. "I couldn't handle waiting 22 months. But more than that, I saw how she manipulated me, made my worst impulses seem reasonable. What are you doing now? Working, therapy, paying bills, living in 500 square feet with secondhand furniture. It's humbling, but it's honest. I finished my coffee, set the cup down. Here's what's going to happen, Nathan. You'll keep working, keep going to therapy, keep living within your means. You'll send me those monthly emails and I'll read them. Maybe respond, maybe not. Okay. In 6 months, June, we'll meet again. Same terms. You tell me how you've grown, what you've learned, and if I see real change, sustained change, not performative guilt, not manipulation, we'll consider rebuilding. Rebuilding what? A relationship. Father and son. But understand this, it will never be what it was. That trust is gone. We start from scratch. Nathan nodded. I understand. And if you backslide, if you come asking for money or help with bills or anything that looks like the old pattern, we're done. Forever. I won't, I promise. Don't promise, just do it. He stood. Thank you for seeing me, for giving me a chance. I walked him to the door. Nathan. He turned. I spent 37 years serving this city, building things, preserving things. I'm good at rebuilding, but it takes time, patience, and absolute commitment to doing it right. I know. I watched him walk down the porch steps, get into his old Prius, and drive away. The December air was cold and sharp. Inside the bookshelf stood finished, my house reclaimed. And maybe there was space to start building something new. Not the relationship we had, something different, earned, honest. But that was 6 months away. For now, I closed the door and returned to my coffee, one day at a time. The house settled into rhythms I had forgotten. Morning coffee on the porch, even in the cold. Afternoons in the workshop refinishing an old chair I found at a Linden Hills estate sale. Evenings reading beside the bookshelf I had finally completed. Henry stopped by on Christmas Eve. Emily and I are having people over tomorrow. You should come. I'll think about it. Don't think. Come. 2 o'clock. Don't bring anything except yourself. Christmas Day, I walked next door. The Patterson house was warm and crowded, their children, grandchildren, neighbors from the block. Beverly Jenkins was there chatting cheerfully. Stanley Brooks brought homemade cookies. Edward and Emily Patterson hugged me. We're so glad you came. They asked about my health, about the house. No one mentioned Nathan or Ashley, small mercies. Around 4 o'clock, Ruth Anderson pulled me aside. I saw what happened this year, the eviction, the court. I wanted you to know everyone in this neighborhood thinks you did the right thing. Thank you, Ruth. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's necessary. You taught your son a lesson he needed to learn. I nodded. I hope so. Driving home that night, I thought about lessons, about justice, about whether what I had done was punishment or teaching. The truth was both. New Year's Eve. I spent it alone by choice. Made Sarah's beef tenderloin the one that took 8 hours of slow cooking. Opened a good bottle of wine. Sat at my table and wrote. Not an email. A letter. For Nathan, though I wasn't sure I would send it. I kept it simple. Told him forgiveness wasn't forgetting, it was choosing not to let the past poison the future. Told him I wasn't there yet, but I saw him trying. That justice had served its purpose, and now came the harder part, growth, change, becoming someone different. I sealed the letter, addressed it to Nathan's studio apartment, put it in the outgoing mail. Dr. Reed's follow-up came in early January. Mr. Cooper, your lungs have healed remarkably. Lung function at 94%. Blood work looks excellent. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I've reclaimed my life. She smiled. That's the best medicine. I walked through Linden Hills that afternoon, past Lake Harriet, completely frozen over. People skating, kids, bundled tight dogs running. I thought about transportation, planning my career, how you couldn't just destroy what existed and expect improvement. You had to understand what was worth preserving, what needed renovation, what had to be demolished for safety. Relationships were the same. Nathan and I couldn't rebuild on the old foundation. It was rotted through. But maybe we could start from scratch. Pour new concrete. Build something smaller, yes, but structurally sound. That evening I sat in my reclaimed living room and looked at the bookshelf. 5 shelves of quarter-sawn oak. Started 3 years ago. Finished last month. Waiting patiently for me to return. My phone buzzed. Nathan's monthly email. Dad January check-in. Still working both jobs. Made a restitution payment even though I'm not legally required. Felt it was right. Therapy is hard but helpful. Learning about enmeshment codependency. How I never developed a separate identity. Divorce will be final in March. Not dating, not looking. Just focusing on myself. Went to an Al-Anon meeting for families affected by others' addictions and realized financial enabling is also an addiction. You tried to love me by giving. I tried to love you by taking. Both were wrong, trying to learn differently. Hope you're well, Nathan. I read it twice. Then I typed, proud of you for the restitution payment. Keep going. See you in June. Dad. Hit send. Outside, January snow began to fall, gentle, quiet, covering the old year in white. Inside, my house was warm and mine, a life reclaimed, a son learning, a future uncertain but possible. Justice had been served. Now came the harder work race. My name is Edward Cooper. This is my true story, a grandpa's stories about justice boundaries and the painful cost of unconditional love without accountability. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're dying in an ICU to realize your generosity has become enabling. Don't mistake giving everything for love. I spent $97,000 in 3 years of my life before I understood helping someone avoid consequences isn't kindness, it's participating in their destruction. This true story taught me that real love requires boundaries. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them face the weight of their choices. God gave me a second chance when that pulmonary embolism should have killed me. I didn't waste it. I chose justice first, then left room for grace. If you're living my story right now, funding someone's irresponsibility, sacrificing your peace for their comfort, this Grandpa Stories is your wake-up call. Set the boundary. Demand accountability. Love them enough to let them grow. Your turn. Have you ever had to choose justice over easy forgiveness? Drop your true story in the comments below. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because every Grandpa Stories here carries lessons earned the hard way. One day at a time, my friends.